Her biting humor wounded me deeply as she derided me in front of her friends, casting me as a clown. That same night, I slipped away without leaving a single trace. I can still recall the precise second when everything collapsed. Her voice, sharp with contempt, pierced the lively hum of conversation, standing out above the rest. We were at a stylish rooftop lounge she loved, a place filled with costly cocktails and patrons whose laughter echoed too loudly to draw attention. I'd never been fond of such spots, but I went for her, convinced she wanted me by her side, believing my presence held meaning for her, or so I thought. The evening began like so many others. She'd invited me to join her group, some colleagues, a handful of old university friends, most of whom were strangers to me. I assumed she saw me as her partner, her trusted companion, perhaps even someone she admired. That fantasy dissolved in moments. Drinks were already flowing when I arrived, and I settled into the chair beside her, pressing a tender kiss to her cheek. She barely noticed, offering only a fleeting, dismissive grin, as if I were an unimportant guest. At first, I let it slide, thinking she was caught up in the excitement or perhaps a bit drunk. But then the taunts started. Someone asked how we'd met, and I began to share a charming tale about us both reaching for the same novel in a busy bookstore. Before I could finish, she cut in with a harsh chuckle saying, "Don't fall for his story." He trailed me around that shop like a lost dog for ages before he found the nerve to speak. The group roared with laughter. I forced a strained smile, trying to keep things light, hoping it was just playful banter, but the barbs kept coming. Every question aimed at me. She answered with a cruel twist. My career? He fiddles with computers or something, glued to screens like it's a big deal. My cooking attempts? He tried making lasagna once. We nearly needed a hazmat team to clean up the mess. My passions? Oh, you mean his strange obsession with tattered old mystery novels? He thinks he's some kind of detective. Each remark sparked louder guffaws, and she'd soak in their approval, never once looking my way. At that table, I wasn't a person. I was her jester, her source of amusement for the night. I excused myself to the restroom, desperate for a moment to collect myself. Staring into the mirror, I studied my own face for what felt like an eternity, trying to muster a smile, to convince myself her words didn't hurt. But they did. The pain wasn't just in her taunts, it was in her purpose, her desire to diminish me for her friend's entertainment. When I returned, no one acknowledged me. She was giggling at some clever quip from one of the men, leaning closer to him as he mused about relationships sometimes being acts of charity. She didn't dispute his words. I sat there, watching her bask in the laughter, feeling like a phantom. In that moment, something inside me broke, not with fury, but with a stark, unshakable clarity. I stayed quiet, waited for the bill, paid our portion, and told her I was heading out to catch a cab. She flashed that same half-hearted grin and said, "Text me when you're home, darling." As if the evening had been utterly ordinary. But I didn't return. Not to her, not to the apartment we shared. I'd packed a bag weeks earlier. Not because I foresaw this exact moment, but because I'd felt a change in her. The affection had faded. The attentiveness had stopped. She used to hold my hand in public. Now she craved the spotlight. I was fading into a mere silhouette in her presence. That night, I checked into a hotel, slept alone for the first time in years, and found a quiet peace in those solitary hours, more calm than I'd known in months. The next day, I erased every trace of myself from our shared life. While she was at work, I arranged for my belongings to be retrieved. I blocked her number, closed our joint accounts, left no note, no explanation, nothing she could twist into another jab for her audience. 3 days later, she appeared at my closest friend's doorstep, bewildered, frantic, almost furious. "Why would he just vanish like that?" she demanded. "He didn't even say a word. He just disappeared." Precisely. I disappeared because words were futile. I didn't leave out of cowardice. I left because staying meant a slow erosion of my soul. You can only sit at a table where everyone laughs but you for so long, especially when you're the punchline. Sometimes, silence carries more weight than any speech, and vanishing without a trace becomes the only statement that truly echoes. She labeled me a fool, but I chose to walk away.